Welcome back to the Beyond Money podcast, where we explore the stories behind great ideas, real passions, and the people shaping their own paths to success. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Louise Stokes, the founder and creative force behind the beautiful jewellery brand Loulerie. From her early days in New York to building a thriving luxury business in Dublin, Louise shares her journey through business, creativity, resilience, and what it really takes to build a brand that truly connects with people. Whether you're dreaming of turning your passion into a business or simply want to hear from a thoughtful entrepreneur, this conversation is full of inspiration and insight. Louise, it's lovely to have you in the studio today. Thank you so much for coming in to meet me. And it's funny because I've actually followed your brand for such a long time, Loulerie. Amazing. And it's funny just to have you in front of me today. But let's start and kick off by just talking a little bit about the backstory and kind of what led you, I suppose, to creating Loulerie.
Well, thank you for having me, and you're repping Loulerie, and thank you so much for. I appreciate every time. It's still when I see somebody wearing it, I'm like, still get that little kind of flutter. So thank you so much. The backstory. We talked about our, in college. I did sociology and philosophy. I just really wanted to go to Trinity because my friend went there. Like, that was the logic. You know what I mean? And I thought it was really pretty.
And you kind of had to go to university.
Of course. I feel like there was a very passive kind of time back, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew it was creative. This is kind of interesting. Whenever I tell people this, I wasn't good at art in school. So I didn't actually think I was very creative because I'm not amazing at like technical drawing. So I think that's an interesting, just looking back, I could have not gone down that path at all because I'd boxed myself off. Mm-hmm. So I went to college, worked the whole time in retail because it was literally beside. So I went to work for Brown Thomas, and then I went to work for Louise Kennedy, and then I got to work in her HQ, and that was literally all through college. And it's only now that I run the business that I realize the massive effect. sometimes people say, well, where was the influence? Sometimes you don't know it when it's happening. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and then I moved to New York. I just went on a J1, and I was like, oh, this is the place for me. I had my heart set on working in fashion. That didn't happen. So I went a second summer and really.
And how long was that? Was it a J?
I did the J1. Then I went back the second summer, and I was like just hell bent. At that time, you could get the J1 extended, the grad visa. So you
and
had
were you in New York City?
Yeah. I was in Manhattan and everywhere. I lived like literally lived above a warehouse in Brooklyn with like a load of boys, and oh my god, it was just crazy places. And then I lived Upper East Side, so everywhere. That second summer, it was that's when I saw the real grit. I was like, no, if I want this. So I actually got an interview with the jewellery company, came home, and I remember crying to my mum saying, oh, this is like such a failure. I didn't get my fashion job. Ugh, okay, I'll take it. And it was an internship. So basically it was.
And that was with Alexis Batar?
No, Alexis I interned with, and that was the kind of, it's like all these little things that kind of sparked my whole, wow, I'd never seen jewellery like that wasn't fine jewellery, or, kind of, it was, he at the time was doing Sex and the City. So that always stuck in my head. I went, okay, that's really fun and really interesting. So it's almost like I banked that.
So bring me back to what year that was, let's say that you were in New York.
2000 and, oh God, it would have been 2002.
Okay.
And then the internship was with a fine jewellery company, and it was like 14 interns. I'm still friends with 2 or 3 of them. One of them has a global jewellery brand, and then the other 2 girls, I'm still really, it was just amazing. It was, the way my mom always describes it as like a paid master's.
Yeah.
And all through the time in my head, I was like, oh, I didn't do the master's like everybody else did at home. I didn't do the same path. So for so long, I thought that this was not, I wasn't successful.
But I think that learning on the job it's so much more kind of powerful, really.
As I always said, there was no manual for what to do in a recession, and there was certainly no handbook for COVID. So I think everything I learned there just on such a large scale. So like we were tiny interns, like we were here, and
what were you doing in the job?
Basically, I was in sales, so we did everything for the sales director, getting things ready for buyers. So they at that time would manufacture, design jewellery for like big, huge department stores. So some of them would have had like 1,500 stores. I'd never heard of a brand that had that. So it was, and everything was in house. So stone sorting, setting, the design. So it was again another moment where I kind of banked, because it was the full 360 process. And then I left that and went to go to their rival, and I got a a really incredible boss who was definitely Howard, who was definitely not your average, tick the box. But I think that he was very passionate.
Yes.
And he was very, very talented. And what I love in America is I was like, right, I want to be executive by this time. And they were like, fine, if you can do it, if you can. So by the first 6 months, I then had assigned my own accounts. I had to do $7 million a year. I traveled on my own. I had to go, and basically I had a number of clients on the East Coast. Yeah. So I did that for like another kind of 2 or 3 years. That does begin to wear. Like I slept with my BlackBerry here.
It must.
And I had a little Twitch, which I thought everyone had. But and I flew, like they would call me and be like, oh, hey, so you have to go to Dallas tonight. I thought that was normal. I flew to Seattle for a day. Like
fine when you're younger and you're in your late 20s.
Exciting. But now So it was a very intense, very New York, very dog eat dog, very Game of Thrones, survival of the fittest. But if I hadn't had that, I'd never have built the grit to come back.
And when you came back, you then... Was it then that you started Loulerie, or did the idea kind of...
The idea was kind of... So sorry, all of those like little things.
Yes.
I was kind of like, ooh, Alexis, that's interesting. And then with the fine jewellery, and then I would be walking around New York going, oh, at that time there was designer markets. And it was all... So I have a big black book and a big sketchbook. It's the same book from when I lived there. And I just cut things out and, I was always building. So... I think I got to a point where I was like, I don't know if I can do that. It felt quite so. It's tough. Like my roommate was in hedge funds, and my other friend was doing a PhD, and a couple of them were in art. Some of them were lawyers. There's a time frame on it. Mm-hmm. I think I think Peggy and I saw on this, but you have to be a bit mad. Like I was a bit mad and a bit naive and a bit, and fearless. And if you're not sure, why would you do it? Because there's 101 reasons that it will not work. So I kind of had the idea already in my head, decided to move home. We moved home at Easter. I was engaged at that time. We were getting married in November. I opened in August, found the shop really small, like it was a barber's, took it over with like the hair still in it, spent nothing. I couldn't get any finance because I was effectively a student at the bank. So it was really funny because I walked in and I was like, well, hang on, my friend's gone to Australia with a massive loan and I want a business loan. So like there was loads of chicken and egg things. Like they wouldn't give me a credit card machine because I had no credit history. And I was like, but I can't have, so there was a huge amount of stumbling blocks. And I remember going to a couple of banks.
And this was 2007?
Yeah, this was 2007.
And I remember 2007.
Everyone was throwing money at everything.
When I bought my first house, and then the market collapsed.
So I moved home in August, started it myself, opened the shop. Like loads of things I'm kind of look back going, wow, like the
and did you do this on your own, or did you have somebody working with you?
No, it was completely on my own. In fairness to my husband, he helped with like, you had to have like finding locations and those kind of things. And then my stepdad at the time, he had just sold his company. So, and he's a chartered accountant by trade, and then he was a CEO of a massive transport company. So of course, all the stuff that I hate, like how do you register a company, and I was like, oh, I'm a creative. What's all this gross stuff? Yeah. He started helping me with that, and then 18 years later, he's literally going to retire next year. He's like 80 now. So
well, it's funny because off camera we were having this chat about how accountants see figures and marketing spend and look and say, what the hell?
Yeah.
But actually, it's such a big part of the business.
Oh, God, but especially that beginning part, because I only had 6 months pre-recession. So, we opened. I had a flying 6 months. This is the best thing ever.
So, talk to me, though, a little bit about where the jewellery came from. Where did you source it?
And all in New York, because I just saw a gap in the market. I would buy my friends earrings, and there was no one at that time. This is very different because it would have been 18 years ago. No one was really doing. Now there are hundreds of jewellery brands doing like plating and like different kind of more fashion looks. But at that time, there was really only the big jewellers. Totally, there was like maybe accessories. There was nothing that was like design led and aimed at a female market. So I knew the female market was massively underserved. And I knew with pieces like Alexis, I knew I didn't want to do bridal and wedding because I'd seen all that traveling in New York. I knew I wanted to sell to women. I knew that there was a market for like weddings, 30th, 21st, whatever. So I sourced as many brands as I could in New York, opened, set up with that. And people were kind of blown away because for the first time, women could go into a jewelry store and buy for themselves or their friend. And it was, again, the retail experience. I mean, some of the things I did.
And the beautiful packaging.
So the package, it wasn't beautiful when I first started. Oh my God. That's been an absolute evolution. And that's a really important part. That's, to me, it's so funny because when I opened a shop. That's what my thinking was. But now it's a brand, and now like every tissue or sticker or color pen is part of the brand.
And when did that evolve? So when did, okay, you started with the shop, let's say, and at what point then did you kind of say, okay, actually I'm developing a brand here and I need kind of consistency and, what I'm delivering in terms of the branding, the colours,
Yeah, I'd say that was, so the first 3 years was just survival. Like I didn't know if we would make it. I definitely believe that if I'd been in clothing, I wouldn't have, because what kept us going was gift market. I established great relationships with press. I knew how important that was at the time, print, getting pieces into magazines. So I knew that was super important. And then through that, I'd say it was survival for 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And then really from like the year 5, 6 on, I realized, oh, hang on a second. If we are, our customers have a certain expectation. People throw the word luxury around, but we really are, that doesn't just mean a kind of a box tick. It's everything. It's how we communicate, how
it's the feeling when you go into your shop.
Yeah, or even how we answer the phone to you or respond to your DM. So I would say around that kind of year 7, and even we're always trying to get better. Like we just did a kind of a redesign of our packaging again, because we want to be sustainable. So we want to try and reduce the amount that we have, but at the same time, we still have to offer it luxury. So that's something that I don't think we ever feel is done. It's like, how can we make it better? What else can we do? How can we make it more special? That's why we introduced the tote bags, because we had a lot of brides who would come in and they'd be going out with their 6 or 7 gift bags, and then I was giving them a bag and it was kind of a wasteful. So the tote has been huge, for us, because again, it's another touch point. So yeah, I definitely think in the first few years you're just surviving, and then you start refining and honing in.
And you talk about your stepdad being a big kind of influence, I suppose, in helping you set up initially. Yeah. Were there any other mentors throughout? And I know you, from just listening to other podcasts that you've done, Going for Growth.
Oh, yeah, Louise. Yeah, that was huge.
Tell me a little bit about that, because I think it's interesting for anybody that is, in that initial stages of maybe setting up a business, and they're kind of wondering, okay, where do people go for support?
Yeah, I think mentors, and I can never underestimate. I wouldn't be open if I didn't have. So Chris says I wouldn't have had, because as you know, like that accounts and the numbers, and when you're up against it, and like there's loads of times that it's like all or nothing as an entrepreneur. So that really was fundamental. But I think you have to have different mentors or different advice for different things. And I definitely think branding and how to run a company and how to deal with people and manage people. Louise Phelan was key with that. So I got to year 10, and it's a funny time, year 10. I remember somebody in Going for Growth, my friend Ruth recommended it. She's also an entrepreneur, creative. And I said, okay, I'll do it. Again, it was kind of going back to, I'm much better at practical. I loved Going for Growth because you got like tasks, and it really made you, like Louise, I remember her first thing was like, oh, no, you don't know your numbers. I was all like fluffy and had no clue. And then what her teaching was about people, because at that time she was managing these massive amounts of people in PayPal. So I think it was absolutely brilliant to have somebody like her.
And what did she challenge you on? I'm just interested,
everything.
Actually.
So first was not knowing my numbers and not really having a clear strategy on the business. Okay. And, it was all a little bit fluffy. I remember they were her exact words. Yeah. Second thing was managing people. Not everybody is actually good at that. Not everybody is trained at that. And if you get that wrong, in Going for Growth, everyone at the tables, and I'm sure it's the same now, have the same 2 problems, finance and people.
Okay.
It's the same. Doesn't matter who, like one lady was in insurance, somebody else had family bars, but we all had the same things.
And what changed, let's say, in your strategy as a result of those discussions?
How I manage people. And there was a couple of things. So Louise's key takeaways are go ugly early. Okay. So that's brilliant. If you hire the wrong person, or you make a bad decision, you're going to spend, it's going to be more detrimental to the business mulling that over. Just make the decision and finish, move on. There's no time for that. And then there was a couple of other things, which was about Frank Sinatra didn't move pianos. I don't know why that stuck with me. And I wasn't Louise. It was one of the other girls on the who actually we use for our HR now. So it was about pivoting out of the business. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if you're in the nitty gritty, you cannot grow if you have to helicopter out. Yes. So that really, really helped me finding the right people.
That's a really hard thing to do as a business owner.
Impossible. And all my team would be like, she still comes in and drives us mad wanting to do window displays. But I remember my friend Ruth, like I was hanging the little glass bottles and they were wet with catgut. Don't do this, because they all smashed. And Ruth's like, what are you doing? I remember a mentor saying to me, the reason that entrepreneurs like to do those little small tasks is because it has a beginning, middle, and an end. And our job actually is picking up the rock and going, here's all these problems, solve that. So if you get involved in the nitty gritty, only this year I've even again given myself a boot going, right, I'm not doing the weekly team meet. I don't do all the team meet. I do the monthly ones and then they do it. Because if your mental load is bogged down with tiny, tiny things, you can't look at the bigger picture. So that's what going for growth made me really realize is, where do you want to go and how do you get out? And it's not overnight.
Yeah.
Like you
And
can't
so
just
as a result, have you become a better delegator?
100%. And I trust my team, and I think it's also had an impact on the team. So our account manager Lily's 10 years, Tanya's 7 or 8, Meryl is like 5, Keelan must be around 4. So
But it's a testament to you as well that you've been able to, retain staff for that long, and they've obviously grown with you, and they're probably very passionate about the brand as much as you are.
No,
because I can feel the passion
I'm
here
very
today.
passionate about that. Stepping back actually has a 2-pronged thing. 1, your team will step up, and 2, your thinking power can be on the growth bit. So that was a pivotal point in my business, was 10 years, because it gave me the tools and it really made you accountable, and it really made, like Louise gave very good bite-sized little things, that you could. And it also, I remember her saying to me, I was not the same person starting it, and I couldn't even present. I was really scared, and she pushed me and was like, you have to speak, you have to do more speaking events, you have to grow into that. So how
did you cope with that? Because this is a discussion we had on the previous podcast with somebody about how do you, I suppose, get over that vulnerability of putting yourself out there in front of, it's really hard.
Yeah, really hard. I don't think I had a huge amount of choice, because at the end of the day, it is a female-founded brand. That's who I'm talking to my customers. Yeah. That's why we connect so kind of deeply on our socials, on our email. It is a personable thing. Mm-hmm. So if I'm not willing to take that step, well, then I'm going against the whole foundation of the brand. Like, our core values are creativity, quality, empowerment, and celebrating individuality. So,
and I'm speaking to you here today, and I'm saying, oh my God, you are so well able to speak and present. And, is it a learned skill, or is it just something that has become more natural over time? Definitely, from doing it.
Yeah, definitely more natural over time. I would have been quite scared doing it in the beginning, but I think now, I think it's an age thing. Yeah. I know who I am. I know I am fine if people don't like me, or I'm not worrying about certain things. I mean, I did a talking there, this year, and I didn't think it went very well. And I have a business. I have like a coach as well who I go and see, and I told her, and she was like, "Now, come on, Louise, you've done far harder than that. Why are you?" So sometimes you can't hone in on that one thing you did wrong. But yeah, I'm more comfortable. The other thing I would say is I'm getting really comfortable being very vulnerable, because that is actually where I've been the most connecting. So a few of the talking things I would have done in the beginning were very businessy, and you'd be like, Louise, what's the story? And I would talk about this. Whereas anytime I pushed myself to talk a little bit about vulnerability, the talk always went an awful lot better.
I think people connect better with somebody.
People want real.
We all experience ups and downs in life, whether that's in a personal capacity, a business capacity, or whatever. In business, has there been moments where you faced challenges and kind of said, "Oh my God, like, how am I going to overcome this?" And how have you overcome them?
I mean, all the time. So I remember Peggy said it as well, you have to get really comfortable. You have to be a bit mad to start. Then you have to have grit to keep it going. Yeah. That's the thing now. Everyone talks about startup. Start's great. I love a startup. I'm like the biggest promoter of startups. Yeah. Keeping it going. Yeah. That needs an awful lot of grit. And then you need the resilience. And then you need to be comfortable to pivot, and you need to think about redirection and whatever. So they're the kind of things that I look back and go, okay, so I'll give you the day, the biggest moment the recession was a huge one, because that came overnight, but I'm a grafter and everyone knows that about me, and I had worked retail. So I knew what I was doing. So I worked that store, when I was pregnant, I was there getting I was so ill, and I used to get club sandwiches from Eddie Rockets dropped in, because I literally could only eat white bread. And so there was those things. So that's what it takes, because I think people think this is this shiny new penny, but so everything that was a challenge built another bit of grit in me. So I was like, right, if I can be pregnant and nearly puking and have Eddie Rockets,
I can do the next thing.
I can do the next thing. So when COVID came, I did get a real jump scare.
And were you online when COVID
We were
hit?
online. So we were online and we had been growing that. And we were probably one of the first to do it. We were one of the first to really adopt Instagram. Because I love creative. So like I knew it was another thing. Like I love styling shoots and doing those things. So just on the vulnerability thing, that I remember sitting down and Leo Vracker came on and it was 10 o'clock and he was like, remember it was lockdown at like midnight.
It was the most...
People were I found it, like I'm getting goosebumps now. Also, my husband's an entrepreneur. He'd had a family business. He'd lost that through recession. So we'd already been through that. And I turned to him and I was like, I can't believe this might be me again. Yeah. So he was like, this is not going to be us again. We're getting in the car. And I tell you what, you've got online ready to go. So the biggest takeaway from it, sorry, I will talk about the vulnerable, but the biggest takeaway is try and have a number of irons in every fire.
Yes.
Because did I know everything about online? Hell no. Yeah. But I had it.
And did you had the website developed at that stage and everything like that?
But we were shipping from the shop or whatever. So there's so many funny stories that came out of that. Seb had a DHL birthday cake. I think that's all you need to know about what happened. So we drove in, we took all the stock, we got an IKEA shelf, and I knew, like I had staff to pay, I had full-time people, and I got really, that was my first concern. How people are depending on me. Everyone was scared. People had kids in school.
That's the thing, you nearly have and a family to feed. It's like a family to feed outside of your own family.
Yeah, and that is my number one responsibility whenever I'm thinking about doing something is like they're my team. Like that's our Loulerie family. So anyway, long story short, we wrote out some numbers. I did my meeting with my stepdad. Like this is crazy. So my family home, he was in the office with the glass and I was the other side and we were going through numbers and we were mad and I had my coat on. I have a photo of it. But because he was like, right, here's your worst case scenario. Let's see if we can do this amount of online orders. And then it literally took off because it's like a horse race or something. We were first out of the gate. Yeah. We knew people still needed to gift. So we might have had Mary, who's living in Cork, and had a sister in Australia. And,
they were all on Zoom calls from the head up.
Yeah.
The neck up.
And they needed
to look well.
Yeah, and they needed a gift. So one of the biggest touch points I learned was we'd no note cards. So I was running up to like any store I could find to get a little note card. And some of them...
And it is something that really is a beautiful touch.
It's a huge thing, yeah.
I recently got a gift for my niece and... I just had it delivered to me first. And it was the beautiful little note. And it does make a difference. So it's that personal touch.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do when you're doing hundreds.
Loads of them, yeah.
I would hope thousands, hundreds, thousands.
No, but they do have a huge impact. So that was a very vulnerable point in the business. And then online absolutely exploded. And then it was amazing and very hard work. Like I shipped, my manager was like beside us. So we were working in our pajamas. It was all wild. And then I opened the online space, a space dedicated for that. And that was really great. But, I will say then when we had to, go back to retail again, that was a bit, so online almost like the lights went out one day. I was like, wait, what? Yeah. And then you had to pivot back. So there's definitely like we're in a vulnerable place again now because there's a huge cost of running business and the type of business that we do. I can't cut costs. I can't one day send you your beautiful packaging and then tomorrow it's missing 5 of the the bag or whatever. So we don't have outside investment. Everything that we've done, we've reinvested. So that might mean, some years you're not making as much, but it's again, like what we spoke about. Sometimes you might say, right, we're going to invest in this thing. It won't make us the money now, but it should grow, eventually in the next couple of years. So there's a vulnerability, I think, to small businesses at the moment. And I just want to say to anybody who's struggling, hang in there because it's hard, there's just so much uncertainty. Like, we have a lot of US-based suppliers that went all over the place this year. Are we getting them? Are they shipping? Are they not? So what I'm saying is all those things that happened kind of make the things that happen from now on a little less scary because I'm like, okay, I packaged in my pajamas for 90 days.
I can do it.
I can do this, yeah.
So your social media following, you kind of alluded to it earlier. How have you grown that? I mean, it's phenomenal. You have 53,000 followers on Instagram. So you have a huge community following you. It is a beautiful page because I think you have your shop, obviously, but that's your shop window online.
100%, yeah.
And how have you grown that? I mean, do you use influencer marketing, or like what have you done from a marketing perspective to grow your brand?
Yeah, I mean, a number of things. Firstly, thank you, because I feel like people don't realize that, like, I'm 53,000, like some people now have 250,000 or whatever. For us, it's never about the numbers. It's about, we're a very niche brand and our customers are niche. So I always say we don't need 100 people. We need like 10 of the right people who understand, you know, our customers and clients, they value that we are so focused on quality and curation and everything. So for us, it's not so much about numbers, it's about engagement. So I started it myself, didn't really know what I was doing. And then we had some interns for the summer and I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of a thing. And anyone out there running their business, content creation is a full-time job. It is a monster of a job.
It is.
Like, it's only when you have help, you're like, oh my God. So Mariel.
And you have a strategy to it.
Yes. Yeah. So we have, over the years, we've had people in the team doing it part-time. And then basically Mariel was in our team during COVID and she was just out of college. And it was one of those things, we have a thing in Loulerie. I'm like, be careful what you say to me because I'll give it to you. And I was like, hey, you're really amazing at this. And you know, she studied fashion. And so really a lot of it is down to her. That is her job. So she grew it. The strategy is like we plan everything out. You know, there's mood boards behind everything, storytelling, where we try and position ourselves as, instead of us just, anyone can take a photo of an earring, but we want to tell the story. We want to shoot it with like a cashmere sweater and jeans so that you connect going, oh, I could do that. You know, we're all about that storytelling and, you know, the inspiration.
That somebody can connect to. And
like
feel,
100%.
Oh my God,
yeah.
I can look like that. I can wear that. I can,
Yeah. And I want it where people come on and feel good about themselves. Yeah. So yes, that is a full-time job for Mariel. We also have help now with TikTok. We have a marketing agency that we use that help with digital ads. I would say our influencer collaborations have been, again, we never do a spaghetti approach. That's not my brand. We had a very organic relationship with Erica Fox. We both lived in New York. We connected over Instagram and we had chatted online. She came to a meeting in the Westbury, which is right beside our shop. And boom, she showed a necklace that I think was her mom's or a vintage locket, the Mercer. And I mean, it's probably one of the pieces anyone in my company would know about. Like, that went crazy. And it was just, again, a number of different things. Because it was organic, she was already a customer. We did a little edit together. People loved it. Then we did a small collection. So it sold out in like 45 minutes. And I got a lot of heat for that. And so it's not about getting everything right all the time. And I remember Niamh, who was doing our social at the time, was like, you have to get online and apologize and say sorry because people were really excited. And I was like, oh my God, it was COVID. I was like, I have no makeup on and I'm in a sweater. She's like, get on. So again, it's about the vulnerability. I was like, guys, first time doing this, we'd no idea about the quantities. It wasn't like some people, you know, we're like, oh, that was a marketing strategy. No, if you have a brand, believe me,
you want to sell it.
You're not putting all that work in. Yeah. So that was, again, a learning curve. And again, I think it's one of those things with marketing. It's maybe not that minute. It's all small things that we've done. So they were really lovely kind of collaborations. We did another collaboration with a fashion designer. I'm all about collaborating with other creatives. We've had the designers that we stock. So half the brand that it now is my own, that the Loulerie own brand. And then we still love brands from around the world. So I love to either have them over or do an event or tell their story online. And that's part of the marketing strategy, again, is that I want you to feel wowed. I want you, you know, when you go on holidays and people always buy a little piece of jewellery. I want, you know, it's a memory. I want you to feel like that about Loulerie. I want you to walk by the window or go on Instagram and be like, what? Is she selling bird ear? What are they? You know,
okay, tell me about what I need to bring on holidays. Yeah. What do I need to put in my jewellery?
The enamel pieces everybody's loving those. And again, that was a collaboration. So yeah, that's basically it. It is a full-time job. Yes, I'm present on social. You and I spoke about this. The reason I would love if I wasn't on it so much, but the reason is because at the end of the day, it is a female founded brand and people connect with that. And I tell the story and people will come in being like, oh, I saw you on Instagram and you said they were really light. So it's about a realness. Yes. That's why I'm on it. I don't want to be like modeling in it, or I don't, you know, it's not about putting me front and center, but it is about acknowledging, hang on, we're a small luxury brand. It's female founded, all female team. Whenever the team will say they go on, I'm like, yes. So Mariel will go on sometimes, but people connect because it's real, you know. And I'm actually, like, on Saturday, I did the stories. Myself and Tanya were in store. She's my manager. She's amazing. We did our stories. Hey, this is my pick. This is your pick. And then people came in, and I think as well, you know, people feel they know you, or they're like, oh, I saw you last night and you went here, and it builds. We're just all about that. We're really about that warm, building a long-term relationship feeling. So whatever we can do to do that, that's what we will do. But it is an animal of a job.
It is. And it's so time consuming.
So time consuming.
But I think if you get the right help with it, you can plan it properly and, rather than doing it every day because it becomes you have to have a strategy to it.
No, you can't. That'd be exhausting.
What's next for Loulerie, and maybe what are the plans?
So, well, we're in a pivot at the moment because we're 18 years this August.
Wow.
So I know, which is crazy. Yeah,
the years are going by quickly.
I know,
I'm kind of thinking,
like,
oh my God, 2007.
It's my first baby. So I think we've got a kind of a really exciting thing I'm working on at the moment with our fine jewellery. So again, that wasn't something I set out to do, but it's weird if you trace back, it kind of makes total sense because that's what I trained in New York.
Well, gold has just come back into kind of...
Yeah, and it's again, there's an awful lot of brands in the other space. And at the end of the day, it's all about long term. So, and I have I'm aiming for a very specific market. It's very minimal. Like the Loulerie fine jewellery is all inspired by the ocean and the waves. I grew up on an island. Like it's, I've got that same look. Our customer...
What's your target market?
Our target market are women who want to buy something for themselves. So that's why we do really well with the signet rings. They might come in and buy like the wave hoops are one of our best sellers, and they might have their Cartier and their Tiffany. So we're that little fashion twist. I'd say we're like the Isabel Marant of the fine jewellery. They already might have their diamonds and their whole wedding jewellery. We're not going after that. I know who they are. They just want that little fashion piece. And what I mean fashion is something that's a little bit different. And it's a way of them. They might wear it with like a vintage piece. They might wear it with something they inherited from their grandmother. And the Loulerie fine jewellery just sits really nicely in there. So they want quality. They don't want to wear a plated piece. It has to be something you put in. Like I'm wearing today, like the little diamond huggies.
I actually love them.
Yeah,
They're
I never
gorgeous.
take them out. Like anything.
What are they called?
So these are just the regular huggies that we have, and then these are the diamond ones. But they're 14 karat gold. Yes,
they're beautiful.
They're an investment. But if you are, whatever you're doing in your life and you wear one thing, like you said, if you play tennis, you might want just something really, really minimal. It's about quality and lasting. Yeah. You don't have to have the matching bracelet necklace. That's not even how I designed the collection. Yeah. So yeah, the fine jewellery is definitely where we're focused. We have some plans for next year. And then we're working again. I think we really want to offer experiences. So any kind of small events that we can do. We did our first wellness one. We did a really beautiful one in Cashel Palace, which was amazing. Last year. That was spine-tingling. It snowed.
Are you going to come to Cork?
So we will be coming to Cork. We're working. I got the email today. So we're kind of trying to do that for Christmas. Getting in front of our customers and offering them that experience and, kind of whether it's a day out or we always try and think like, what can we do? Could it be a brunch or whatever? It's about saying thank you, Cliona. Like that's a huge thing. Thanks for supporting us.
I think you're really good at that. I think you're really good at that. That recent order I wasn't expecting, but I opened the box and there was a little candle was gifted in there, which was beautiful. It's when you open the box, I went, oh my God, I think I've got the wrong package because
no, we add in things,
and it was beautiful. It was a lovely little touch, and it's the personalised notes as well. But the jewellery itself is so different, and there's some beautiful, like gorgeous pieces. So I hope that we will see you in Cork.
Oh no, we'll be coming. Don't worry. Yeah. We're trying to work on November and December, and and thank you. I still feel so grateful because you can shop like. You can never get super comfortable. Like there's so many brands. So
it is a competitive space.
It's absolutely dog eat dog. So I hope that when you shop Loulerie, you feel really cared for. I want that, when you walk in, the same as if you call us. And we have a policy and we have an amazing, again, I pivoted out. Keelan does that. So if you've placed a number of orders or they notice that you've placed, I don't know, a couple and maybe you're getting married or it's your second order or maybe you've placed a few together, we'll add in something. Like that's why we have the candles and the diffusers and we have the tote bags. It's a little touch point. It's a little way for us because we can't be a discounty brand. Those things that we do, they're small for us to do, but we hope that when you open it, you feel cared for, which is basically...
Well, I can certainly say that I have every single time that I have ordered,
good.
and I'm looking at those earrings and I'm saying, okay,
next
that's on my bucket list. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you.
Can I just get you to finish off by if anyone wants to check out Loulerie, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, so our boutique is located on Chatham Street, which is just off Grafton Street, and we're currently at the moment we're open Tuesdays to Saturdays. We open Sundays generally in winter, and online is loulerie.com, and we ship. It's free shipping to the UK and Ireland, and we have global shipping as well. And again, that's really important because we take care of everything. So there's no hidden, surprises on the other end. So,
and I can say that you deliver really quick.
Yeah,
I
really
ordered
quickly.
Something on Friday.
Yeah. We try and get it out that day, if not the next day. Again, just, because it's a service and you want to provide the best.
Well, I just think if anyone's kind of looking for a gift or anything like that, and it can be a kind of a last minute thought, it's nice to have that quick turnaround.
Yeah, we have excellent shipping partners. So we learned all that in COVID. We've made all the mistakes. So yeah, we have an excellent service.
Well, Louise, thank you so much for your time today. You are so passionate and it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all your support of Loulerie. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Beyond Money podcast. If you've enjoyed the conversation, be sure to like, follow and share it with friends, family or anyone who'd find it valuable. Join us next time as we continue to explore the world of money and what lies beyond it.